Hello, this is more so just to check in really, just touch on a few points. Again, I'm just in the process of waiting for things to come out before I can make any changes. The main one, which was going to be the case, this is the NV9. I like it, but there was definitely some issues, and they found those issues, and from what I'm gathering, rectified them for the NV9. It is a little bit bigger than this one, but it has more things, like you've got the side panel tray which you can change. You can take 140s if you want to take 140s all around. There's a little bit more space at the back as well for cable management and things. It was meant to be out already. It's been held back. I think it was held back to mid-November. That deadline came and went, and I think it's been put back to either early or mid-December now. I'm not entirely sure. I need to check again. I don't know why. Now, I'm guessing it's because when they've seen the Lee Evo XL, they've decided they wanted to make some changes. Now, when I've seen the NV9, it seemed as though those changes were already in place. I don't see the difference so much between them. So I'm interested to see what it is they've actually held the case back for and what they've changed. If it's the same as what they've shown at the computer shows and stuff, that's nice, but if they've added even more to it or changed something to improve it even more, I never thought I would say this, but I think it'll be an easy win over the Lee for me and my particular tastes, not for everybody. I'm really hoping that they've looked at the front panel and they've either tweaked that or added more USBs to it, because that would be ideal for myself. Or maybe it could be something around the back, maybe they've tweaked, I don't know. But I'm really interested to see what that is. If it comes out and it ticks all the right boxes, it'll be the NV9, which I change, and as soon as I can get my hands on one. It was either that or keeping this one and maybe treating myself to the Lee Infinity fans. I do like the look of them and stuff, but if these fans weren't as good as they were, it would be quite a no-brainer, and it would have been done already. But it's really hard to kind of justify getting those over these with the differences, considering the actual performance of the D30s, of the Fantex ones, is better, but the lighting's better on the Lee. So I don't know, I have to wait and see. I do get odd questions about the Master. Running grand, no issues, no temp things that are flaring up. The temp probe's on there, it's been absolutely fine. Not entirely obviously going to be 100% sure if this is all because of the cable mod adapter version 1, not the new version, but version 1, which pretty much melted hundreds if not thousands of cards. It was responsible for that. So a lot of the things that you see online with the 4090s, to me, early on, I believe a lot of the issues, and maybe even some of them now, has purely been down to the fact that we all got these new cards. They were massive. People were putting them in cases that were not big enough to hold them, because their previous card was obviously smaller, and then they get this thing which is bigger and obviously longer and wider, and we're having to try and fit cables in and all sorts of angles. It didn't help that the fact that the NVIDIA adapter thing that came with it was like an octopus and had all those bits hanging off it, which was extra weight. And obviously it's a big chunky thing as well. So I think some of the responsibility came from us trying to fit them in cases that were too small, that stupid NVIDIA adapter being heavy and awkward, and also the fact that people weren't pushing them in straight away and getting that right as well. Some of this could also be on the PSU side, where we're using the older PSUs, which was the 8-pin, but all of the like 3 or 4 cables coming off it. Has it helped things by going to the ATX3, because the way it uses the sense to actually give you what you need and stuff like that? Whether this has helped on certain builds and stuff like that as well. It's still very beta as to being able to tick the boxes to what was responsible for every single thing. But I personally believe that it's not a great design, but I do think a lot of this falls upon us and how we treated the card and how we put in stupid bends. When I used to see some of the videos with some of the bends, some people had cases that it just wouldn't fit, where they actually just took the side panel off. I think some of it does fall on us about how we actually try to make these things fit. A lot of it falls onto, sadly, Cable Mod's a good company, but unfortunately that version 1, I lost count how many I've seen that were melted, and it was always the actual adapter side of things. It's very, very rare I actually see a cable that is actually responsible for it. The other issue there is the fact that once these came out, the Chinese market for the cheap and cheerful cables came out, and there was a lot of those cheap cables. Some of the responsibility fall on the cheap cable side of things, where people just wanted a custom color, or they just wanted the one cable rather than obviously the whole octopus multiple thing. So some of it could be that. I don't rightly know. Now I'm saying all this, and this will probably end up melting today, but ever since I've gone to this and I've put it through its paces with Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty and stuff like that, and it's took all the power it needs to do. It's been grand, and that 10% which I have on there, that's been absolutely grand as well. There's been nothing on there to even made me think, oh, that's a bit odd. So I am totally jinxing myself by saying all this. Like, yeah, and the other one with the Master, sadly, for some reason, Gigabyte haven't released any new BIOS updates for the WindForce and Gaming OC. It really, those two cards could really do with the BIOS that this one got. It basically fixed any issues to do with the fan speed, fan curve, the auto fan stop and start, which it worked, but to me it was annoying that the speeds they set them at and the frequency that they set them at to come on and off and stuff like that. The last BIOS update for the Master fixed all that, so it's been just the same as like an MSI or an Asus card really. But sadly they haven't done one for the OC and the WindForce. It might come down to the actual fans that they used. These ones have got like that shark fin salesman palaver stuff that they were going on about. I don't think it makes any difference. So it might be that the actual fan motors are slightly different. So these can be lowered to a certain speed or made to do more, whereas the other ones are maybe a bit more bog standard, and they can't have a BIOS that changes the way they work. Now, to me, they should be able to bring out a BIOS that actually changes when they stop and start, even if they can't bring out a one that changes the actual fan curve, as it were. So that's a strange one. For anyone who's got an OC or WindForce, I would highly recommend that you actually email or get in touch with Gigabyte and complain about it, asking them to have the same kind of BIOS that the Master recently got, which fixed all kind of issues with fans and stuff. But that's it really. I don't really have anything to add to it. I'm still waiting, like I said, to see what happens with NV9. Cards working grand. There's no CPU out until next year, which will be the 8000 for the AMD side of things. I'll give that one a go. They seem to be doing obviously a lot better on the side of things with the power consumption as well. The Intel chips just seem to be eating electricity, and the downside to that is obviously the temps that they're getting up to, which means you're going to have to run your AIOs and fans and stuff faster to keep that chip cooler, which is one of the things I don't like. So yeah, the efficiency on the AMD side is certainly winner. And again, gaming at 4K, and I don't really do any compression work or any kind of 3D work, so yeah, I'm more focused on the obviously the gaming side of things. So if I can keep this machine as quiet as possible, I'll probably stick with AMD unless things change. And the only other thing which might be a possibility would be the AIO. This is really good, but I'm not too sure if there's anything else due out not too soon. The only thing which I like the look of it to start with, but now I'm just like, is obviously the pump cover. It's big and it's chunky, perhaps a bit too big for my liking. I would like something maybe a little bit smaller. And I also like what Lian Li's done with their, is it Galahad 2, where they've actually got thicker tubes. That makes more sense to me as well now for AIOs to go forward if you use slightly thicker tubes. So yeah, anyway, we'll see. Hopefully on the next video there'll actually be something to talk about. But until then, bye.